If you're looking to get some cheap games or PSN codes, Xbox codes, things like that, check out g2a.com. Use MGH at checkout for 3% off. So today, guys, we are going to be rounding up the Watford career mode. We're going to be looking at the stats, talking about my favourite players, the least favourite players, the best signing, the worst signing, top scorers, top assisters, things like that. And we're going to properly round off the series, which for me has been one of my favourite ones I've done. In terms of enjoying the game and playing with certain players, I really have enjoyed it, and I'll be explaining why. So I guess first of all, we show you the league table. So of course we did finish in second place, 4 points behind United, but 5 points ahead of Spurs, Crystal Palace and Liverpool. So Man City, of course, did not finish in the top 5 thanks to us. Well, actually, thanks to a lot of teams. They missed out by 10 points. Arsenal in 7th, but going down was Norwich, Sunderland and Aston Villa. Look how close it really was, though, in 3rd, 4th and 5th, all on 71 points. If Liverpool scored a couple more goals or just conceded a few less, they would have been in the Champions League. But overall, I'm extremely pleased with that. I think if we went one more season into Season 3, we could win the Premier League. We only lost 4 games. But the main thing I'm proud of is my goals away. We only conceded 23, but we only scored 47. So it wasn't great, but defensively, I think we were pretty good this season. Now, let's have a look at the top scorers as well. I'm pretty sure we should be up there with success. We are close. I'm afraid it's Benteke that's won it, and we were joint second with Coutinho, Lamela in 4th, and Leroy Fer in 5th. Benteke top scorer, Coutinho in 2nd and Success joint 2nd. So not too bad. Have we got any other players in there? We've got Peñaranda with 9 and that's that. So assists, we've got Benteke at the top again. Wow, Kovalenko is down in 14th with 5 and I believe that's going to be it. We've got Saponara in there with 4. Benteke, player of the season, quite clearly. Top scorer and top assister as well. That's crazy. But I know who's going to be the best keeper. Yeah, by a long shot. Lafont, arguably one of the best young keepers in a FIFA ever, if you ask me, with 19 clean sheets. Of course, though, that's down to the defenders as well, which I was really happy with. But Krul in 2nd place and Lloris in 3rd. Now, of course, the real success story, excuse the pun, is the FA Cup. We won it against Man United 2-0 in the final. If you want to go ahead and watch that video, that was the last episode. It was a hell of a game. We beat Tottenham in the semis, we beat West Brom in the quarterfinals, and we beat Swansea in round of 16. But overall, I was really pleased with winning the FA Cup. I think going out of the Europa League so early on really made me want to do well in the FA Cup. So I'm really happy we did that. And of course, probably the most disappointing part of this career mode was the Europa League. As you can see, we're not even beyond the round of 16. We got knocked out and it was very embarrassing. In the end, Inter Milan went on to win it with Liverpool in the final losing 3-2. Actually, interestingly, Manchester United won the Premier League, the Champions League, the League Cup, and they almost won the FA Cup. So they could have won the quadruple. That would have been amazing. So of course we are going to be doing a squad report. It's always interesting to see how the players have got on. Obviously we're only going to see the Season 2 progress, but you can go back and look at Season 1 at the end of Season 1. You can see it on YouTube. So Lafont in the end went up by 3, so finished as an 84 rated keeper. At the age of 19, that is pretty incredible. Visor was a really good signing. I really enjoyed using him in the 2nd season. He's gone up to 81 there. Lemos was... Lemos is a difficult one. I really like him. He's a good defender and his passing's very nice, but there's just something about him. He's a little bit clunky, I would say. He's not very agile, and you can see that although his agility is 71, I think that doesn't make sense at all for me. Lindelof is by far the better defender, if you ask me, and it's funny, he doesn't feel as clunky, although his agility and his balance are lower. That really doesn't make sense at all, does it? But Lindelof for me was the best centre-back I've used. I really enjoyed him. And Theo Hernandez, he's probably up there for one of the best signings I've made. He got injured in the FA Cup final. He's actually out for 4 weeks. Luckily enough, there's no games to play. But I really like him. And actually, I'm tempted to maybe bring him into another career mode because I only got to use him for 1 season. I'd like to use him a little bit more. Ended up by going up by 5. Now, Corona, I don't want to talk too much about Corona. As you know, he was my marquee signing in Season 1. And he started off really well, but since then, I'm not so sure. In 30 appearances, 7 goals and 2 assists. he just seemed to lose that impact. So, yeah, we'll talk about him in a little bit. Cosiello, I mean, when we signed him, I was so excited to see where he would end up. He's gone to 83, but one of the most balanced and one of the most versatile midfielders I've used in FIFA. He really is stunningly good. We've then got Pereira, who's been here since the start. He's our captain at the moment. Again, a very solid player, finished as an 83 rated player. Musonda went up by 4 to 84. Obviously, I fixed his stamina. He's actually finished with 71 stamina. And out of 37 appearances, 6 goals, 8 assists. Not as big of an impact as I would have hoped, but still very, very good player with the 5-star, 5-star. Saponara, we signed him for free. Could have gone to Real Madrid if we let him. Finishes with a value of 21 million. We could have made a big profit on him. And 83 rated. Now, success. I mean, look at that. 39 games, 26 goals and 6 assists. That's pretty insane. 16 goals in the Premier League, of course. And look at those stats. He really is so, so good. And Peñaranda, what a backup player to have. Again, maybe a player that I'd like to use again in a different series. Finished up as an 82 rated player. Emre Moore, who is literally about to go back to Dortmund. He only joined us on a 2-season loan. Didn't have a big impact on the right side. I think he was better up front, but we had so many other options. I didn't use him up front so often, but a very, very quick player. Very dangerous on the counter-attack. Montes finally started growing in Season 2. Whenever I used him, he was pretty much unstoppable. He just took the ball off everyone. He's so, so good. And it's the same with Ndidi. My Yaya Toure. I'm going to be very interested to see how he gets on at Leicester in real life. Finished as an 82 rated CDM. Doucouré got to 82 as well. Loved using him as an impact sub. JJ, very, very decent player, but of course replaced him with Visor eventually. Montero, I mean, that says it all really. Decent player, but nothing amazing. Doesn't really have an end product half the time. Gomez, the legend himself, finishes at 73 rated. He is retiring, but yeah, not much else to say other than he is a Watford legend. Capoue, didn't really use him much in the second season. As you can see, I didn't use him once, not a single game. In the first season, he was pretty good, but nothing amazing. We brought in Fosu Mensah. He pretty much took over 12 games, 2 goals, all in the same game as well, wasn't it, those 2 goals? Did very well, grew by 4. Kovalenko was, for me, one of the surprise packages of the season. He was really, really good. 10 assists, 4 goals in just 25 games. And eventually took over Saponara's role. Boga, didn't use him too much. He didn't even score for us, but he was just a backup striker. Robertson was my first left-back signing. Theo came in and took his place. Kennedy was one of those players that was just backup. Squad player, came in every now and again, didn't do too amazingly well, but still, very good option to have. Cyprien, in another career mode, he would have played every single game, but I had Cosiello, I had Pereira, I had Ndidi. He was always going to find it difficult to get into the first team, but fantastic all-rounder. Cabasele was captain for us for a while, very good defender. Troy Deeney didn't play much in his second season, 1 game, 1 goal. We've then got Amrabat, who, yeah, let's not talk about him. Absolutely rubbish in this second season. Kabul, didn't really use him either, no games played. And then we've got players out on loan doing okay, I guess. They weren't really going to have an impact on this series. But there you go. That is how the squad was looking. And I'm so, so pleased with it. And I've really enjoyed using every single player. So, of course, this is the first team. This is pretty much what I used in every single game. Although towards the end, like I said, it was pretty much Kovalenko in there. So we'll drop him in. I'm now going to be talking about my favourite player of this series, and you guys know what's coming. It had to be Success. Unbelievable striker, one of the best strikers I've ever used in a FIFA game. Now obviously he starts a lot lower than 84. Once I got him to around the 80 mark, unbelievable. He can just run past players, and because he's strong as well and he's got good finishing, he is unstoppable. And you've seen some of the goals I scored where I started 40 yards out, turn a defender and just run through them and score. With the low-driven shots as well, he's overpowered. He really is. So for me, my best player was Success. Now moving on to my best signing. This is overall, over the 2 seasons, my best signing. And this one is a little bit tougher because I don't know how many signings we made in total, but it's well over 10. So I had a lot to choose from. When I did this in the Arsenal career mode, I only made a couple of signings. So after thinking for quite a while, actually, I'm going to go with Lindelof. Now, I think Lindelof, for me, is a core player in this team. Whenever he wasn't playing, I missed him. and he was one of the first signings I made as well. He made such an impact. He is very, very good in this game. Ignore his stats. Honestly, like, he's got good stats, but just try him, guys. Try Lindelof in this game. You will love him. And he's probably one of the best signings I've ever made. Honestly, I've really, really enjoyed using him. In second place is Cosiello. I think Cosiello is one of those players that I've always wanted to use. I finally got him, but Lindelof was, I guess, the more important player for me. We've got a lot of midfielders, but in terms of defenders, which is a huge part of the team, he has to be my best signing. Now, for my worst signing, pretty easy to be honest. We're going to go straight down here onto the bench. It has to be Montero. Now, when I first got him, I thought he's a bargain. I think I signed him for like 8 million, which is actually very decent. Good value for money, or so I thought. After a couple of months, I realised, I think I said it a minute ago, there's no end product. All he is pace, pace, pace. Now, in previous games, I'd say Theo Walcott was like that. He was just all about running down the wing and hopefully getting a cross into another player, or at least getting a shot on target. Montero, although he scored a couple of goals here and there, got a couple of assists, in general, just he wasn't very effective. And I basically used him just to get through players and pass it on. He was literally, I don't even know what that role is. He just played every now and again for his pace. It really was. It was just a breakthrough teams, which, although it can be handy, he has to be the worst signing I made. And if I could go back and not sign him, I probably would have gone with someone else. Now, in terms of worst player, I'm going to go with a player that's in the squad now because, of course, I've sold all the bad players over the last 2 seasons. It has to be Amrabat. Now, he's okay. Don't get me wrong. Amrabat is a versatile player. He plays up front, on the right. He can even play right wing back if you want him to. Hell, you could even put him at left back. If you really, really wanted to, he could do a job for you. But similar to Montero, doesn't really have that end product. And he's a little bit frustrating. Now, you could say it's human error if I'm putting too much power in shots or not doing enough power. I felt like half the time when I got the ball to Amrabat, I lost it. So for me, he has to be the worst player in this squad. I know this is quite bad, but Gomez has to be one of them as well. Although I love him, he is a legend of this squad. He is not a very good goalkeeper in this game, especially now that he's gone down and down and down. He lets in some pretty horrendous goals. So Gomez, I wasn't going to give him worst player. He's probably second, and then I guess it's Kabul. Kabul is slow, clunky, good in the air, relatively physical, but yeah, just not very good. Now I'm going to talk about another tough one actually, and it's going to be the surprise signing. The player that I signed who I thought would do an okay job, but actually was incredible. And I think you probably know where this is going. It has to be Theo Hernandez. He is actually unbelievable in this game. I mean, you can see with his stats. I love the fact that he's a left mid as well, by the way. I mean, 88 sprint speed, 86 acceleration, 78 strength, and his tackling as well. 87 slide tackling, 84 stand tackling. He's super, super good, and I really, really enjoyed using him. And as soon as I got him in the team, I knew he was going to be better than Robertson. So for me, the surprise signing has to be Hernandez. But then again, Weiser, very, very good. Very similar to Hernandez. They're good going forward, and combined they made this team much stronger in attack, especially. Like defensively they're good, but with Weiser and Hernandez running up the wings, helping Musonda and Corona or Amrabat or Moore, whoever it was lethal. It really was very good, and they worked perfectly in a 3-5-2 as well, playing on the left wing and on the right wing. So I think both of those players would be the surprise signings, but Hernandez just about wins it. And also, you've got to give a shout out to Kovalenko as well. Probably the most underrated player of this team. Kovalenko is seriously good. So if you want to try out a young cam, someone that's really good behind the striker, honestly, Kovalenko is your man. You can get him really cheap. He's got amazing stats. He's strong. He can play at centre mid. He's got high work rates. He's 6 foot. He's really good, and I really, really liked him. And now, guys, we're going to finish off looking at the objectives. Now, there was a couple that I didn't do. For example, the youth development one, sign one player assigned to the forward position from the academy. It's not something that I thought I needed to do. It would have given me maybe an extra point or two, but it was a very low priority, so I didn't bother doing that. I just wanted to sign players in this career mode across the planet, lots of different nationalities, things like that. So we didn't quite achieve that. Brand exposure is a long-term one. We still haven't had a chance to do that. So I'm guessing if we did Season 3, we would be able to achieve that Financially, we achieved our long-term objective, increased the worth by 30% of the club, so we managed to do that. And of course, short-term domestic success, finishing the Europa League spot, which we did, and reach round of 16 in the FA Cup, which of course we won. But the big problem was reaching the final of the Europa League was one of my targets, and it was a low priority, but something that I personally wanted to do. I wanted to win the Europa League, but of course, round 32 is all we got to. So that was probably the reason our manager rating has stayed so low. That was, well, actually, no, thinking about it, because it's a low priority, it shouldn't have affected us too much. It was more brand exposure and financial that was important. I'm surprised domestic success was very low, to be honest. But unfortunately, since the Europa League embarrassment, our manager rating has just plummeted and it just hasn't recovered. But in general, guys, I think I've done very well with Watford. We've taken them from, I would say, a mid-table team to a Champions League team. And, you know, the team that we finished with could easily compete in the Champions League. I reckon we could get to the quarterfinals relatively easily, maybe even the semi-finals if we get lucky with who we were to play against. But like I said, guys, I'm going to keep this save file. Maybe we'll come back. It's the same with the Arsenal career mode. I've still got that save file. I can always come back, but this is the end for now. So there will be a vote video coming out very soon where we can decide what league we're going to do next. But for now, guys, thank you for the support on the Watford career mode, and I hope you're excited as I am to start the next journey.